All right, let's call to order then. Seven.
So nice.
First item on the agenda is a review and approval of the March 12. Denise is here. She did circulate a copy electronically.
So eventually you'll
Is there
start,
any suggested
putting names to
corrections?
faces, especially last names.
I move that we
For me, I
approve
definitely
the
know
board
more
minutes
last names
as
than first names.
transcribed.
So,
I second.
yeah. So
All in favor?
Aye.
always make sure that you
Minutes
enter
are
who's
adopted
playing
as submitted by Denise. Second on the item,
you don't need that. You need to. Hi,
the
how are
review and
you?
adoption of
Good.
the April 2019
Good.
financial report.
This is
That was
Christian. He's going to be
circulated
working
by
here.
Kathy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Had a chance to look at that, I assume.
Oh, you
Any
guys are on court
questions
4.
or
You're welcome.
do I want to move to adopt
Sometimes
the
it's helpful,
financial report as
especially
submitted?
for older
I'll
members,
move
to
for
really
adopt
already
the
know
treasurer's
who's
report as presented.
and if they're like looking
second?
and they can't find it, then
Give me a
you
second,
would just
getting this now.
oh, you're on
All right.
court 4. I see that.
Any objections?
So,
All in favor?
way to
Aye.
Perfect, got that backwards, but great, all right. Financial report is adopted as submitted.
full roster.
Bruce is not here, I don't know if we are aware of any new members that need to be.
Yes, he sent an email.
He did, I didn't see that, great.
4 in April and 5 in May, so we're up to 308 memberships, and last year at this time we had 309.
Anna, let him answer.
Okay.
Do you want to just say with my
So I'll make a
phone?
motion to approve the new
Lake Mary
members.
Tennis, this is Christian.
Second.
motion.
Okay. All in favor of approving the new members?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, moving right along. This is great.
Yeah, look at
This is a
this.
record.
Okay, let me check.
Okay,
Real quick.
on to number
Nice
5,
to meet you.
nominating committee report. I wasn't clear if we actually had a report
Friday
or
at
not.
4?
If there was one, I wanted to just
Okay.
put it in the record so we could have that available for
court
Denise
3
and
is
get
open?
further on down the list.
Okay.
I know there was some
And then how
verbal
long
discussion.
will it
I
be
wasn't
for?
at the meeting. If that was what the board felt was a
Okay.
report, then
Thank you.
we can call it a report and submit it. If it wasn't a report, then we can say there wasn't a report and move on
Okay.
from that.
Well, I think it was treated as a report. I mean, we had a long discussion addressing all the items that were open and needed addressing so we could get the deadline for mailing. So we accepted everybody that was nominated,
Okay,
elected
thank
to
you.
put them on a ballot, get the ballot out,
Have a good day.
use the list as of April 30th for mailing, and
She spelled the
we're
word
going
for you?
to try and address all the
yeah.
issues,
Oh,
get
okay,
things
so she gave you
in form for June 8th.
first.
Perfect.
Yeah, Christian didn't have it.
Yeah, just the
So,
fact that we got
if you-
ballots out here and
Works for me. It's great. So there was a nominating committee report, and it was
Quite a
was
discussion.
approved and submitted as part of the last meeting. It wasn't in the meeting minutes, so we'll just make a note that that in fact did happen,
And if I don't, what
that
would it be?
the members who ran were the ones that were nominated and approved by the nominating committee.
It's okay. No, don't worry
Excellent.
about it. It's
All right.
it's totally fine.
On to number 6. We have a written ballot that went out that per our bylaws needed to be authorized by the board. So I'd like to move that
So
the board
doubles is
authorize
always-
the written ballot that was submitted.
You're gonna enter the 4 years.
I'll move that we authorize the written ballot. I think it's.
We did that last month.
It's out, but you know.
Well, there was no mention of authorizing the written ballot, so I just want to make sure we
Yeah.
put it on the record.
I think it's a great idea. But we did discuss it and we did authorize it as a board. But again, I agree with you. We should note it in the minutes. And let's just, I would actually like to suggest we just affirm that we did it and we're reporting it, that it was ratified again at this meeting.
Perfect. And if we want to do that, noting that it was actually done at the last board meeting, but that it wasn't noted in the minutes, that's fine.
And so
Because
if
we
they
wasn't
only
here.
need one name,
So,
you just do it.
We are affirming then as a
Or is
board
this
that
like
it
2 different people?
was
It was done
authorized in the last meeting, and we're going to put that in the record. All right. Perfect. On to number 7. Record date for notice voting written ballots. Was there a notice date that was also
And then
discussed
we
at
just
the
write
last?
like their name and
Record
address.
date rather?
It was the date of the list provided by Bruce, which was April 30th.
So April 30th was the record date that was established?
So why don't you try to do that?
So this is
Excellent. So let's note that also, and that you don't know you volunteered for it. I'm sure Denise is going to be a little bit late this time.
Friday right there.
Great, so we've established and noted for the record that April 30th was the record date, and we have a membership list presumably that ties out to the members of record as of that date.
I use that.
Okay. Bruce has, or Denise has, or
Bruce.
someone has.
Group membership.
Bruce has that date.
Yeah, and he sent it to me.
He sent the list, he provided the list.
Okay. So we'll need to get a copy then to Denise so that she can keep that on the record and use that as the contact information and what we would then cross-reference against the votes when they come in so that we can make sure that all the members were notified appropriately. Great. Did anyone else have anything to add as far as the record date for notice voting in the House? I covered that satisfactorily.
That's the only updated.
All right, excellent. On to number 8, notice requirements for voting members meeting and quorum.
I usually try to.
Secretary needs to provide notice for this meeting. Denise is over here, so
Especially the next day.
I just want to make sure that we do get that notice of the annual meeting and the election out for the bylaws. It's not hard, it just needs to include some of the key items there.
Notice of what is it?
Notice of an annual meeting and the members vote. So anytime that the members are voting on something, there's a notice
Oh,
required.
I understand, but I saw on the internet
Stay for the next one.
notice about the June 8th meeting, which is the annual meeting that we discussed.
Right, and it was a save the date, and per the bylaws, we're required to have additional information, and we're required to have an agenda that notes what the members are allowed to vote on, which is specifically important because if we don't meet the quorum requirements per the bylaws, the only thing the members can vote on is what's on the agenda. So if we don't include an agenda with the written meeting notice that includes the election, and we don't have a quorum, which based on history we won't, then we're not allowed to have a vote per the bylaws. So that's why I'm bringing this up.
Any suggestion of other agenda items that we would?
I had none. My only suggestion was to include the annual meeting will include a board of directors vote and election. And we need to include that in the notice of the meeting. And by doing that, we have now satisfied the requirements of the bylaws. In case we don't meet the quorum at the annual meeting, we can still vote for directors. If we don't, and we don't meet the quorum, then we can't vote. Members can't vote, not us as the board, but members would not be able to vote.
Is it in the closet?
And that's not my rule, that's for the bylaws. As I read them, and I included the sections that I found them in for reference.
How many is the quorum? How many?
Well, I did, but, and
What is the quorum? How many is that that we need?
I can read
no,
from the bylaws.
I just, when I read it, because it allows for
A member might hit.
written as well as present.
And they
Correct.
will call up.
So-
Ask you to
Go get it.
go either go get it or
Hey,
they can get it.
I'm okay with what you're saying, and I'm not really, I don't actually understand what form we need, so if you could just rough it out and we could
Yes.
give it to somebody to send out or whatever, so we
Yeah,
can
I
get
think
it done.
the
That'd be great.
practical side of it's
Yeah.
really straightforward. We just need to provide an agenda for the meeting, which would be
One item.
There
are two items.
Two items that I had suggested. One, the presentation and report. Two, the vote for member for the board of directors. And that agenda needs to be included in an official notice of the meeting that Denise, the secretary, sends to all the members that are members of record as of the date that we've established now for the date of notice of the record date for the vote. And all that, and that needs to include the date, the time, and the location for the bylaws, and then we've satisfied the bylaws, and we can have our meeting, and anyone who shows up can vote.
Why don't you do up the notice, give it to Denise, and she can send it to Doug? Because Denise won't know how to really do that, I don't think.
I made a flyer, you know, I was just gonna mention that we could revise it or to do an email blast. Can we attach it and do like this and then attach it to an email
For sure,
blast?
yeah,
And that way it
absolutely.
has just the kind of the agenda of the day.
No, I couldn't print it out. I tried printing that.
Yeah,
That was actually the first one that came through. Because the second one you said,
Yeah,
this is the one I
this
mean,
is the
meant to
second
send,
one.
have
That's the
a
second one.
This
soccer
is the
ball.
second one.
But we sent a save the date,
Yeah.
June 8th, but we haven't
I
provided
know
any
there's
more
some sort of
information
format
about the
issues, but that's
time
what it
or
was
the
supposed to look
agenda.
like.
So all we need to do is send another email out.
Would the board hear a motion
Oh, yes.
that we, to this notice, add the date information and and notice the membership that the agenda for the meeting is the voting of a new board for the next year's board.
We certainly could move to do that. I don't believe a motion is necessary. This is just an administrative task.
Okay, well, then let's
I just
get it
wanted to
done.
make sure that we were on the same page and everybody understood what we needed to do to ensure that we could vote per the bylaws. at the meeting.
Okay, so
So
can I
it's
just
administrative
make sure I have this right? The secretary needs to send out a notice of an annual meeting and voting. It has to include the 2 agenda items, which are the presentation of the annual report and the fact that there will be an election of directors and everyone's allowed to vote as long as you're a member of record as of April 30th.
It doesn't have to include the
That part?
The first item, the presentation and report has to include an agenda that includes the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, what you said was fine.
And then it has to have the date and time and,
The date and time and the location.
okay, so we need to make sure
And
that's
the
all
agenda.
nailed down.
So could we
Okay,
do
so
like an
wait, let me
email blast
confirm
like that
something.
with-
Let me confirm
Well,
something. So are you saying that people that were not members as of April 30th are not allowed to vote?
That's who you
I am
send the stuff to.
I am not
That's your-
saying
yes.
that, but that is what the bylaws say, is that we've established, what we just approved earlier is that April 30th was the record date for voting. So
Okay.
The only way you can give anybody notice.
Okay, so-
Well, unless they
That-
come in.
But they
Yeah,
weren't,
but these.
But you can, because first of all,
Okay,
you had to send this out before we even had members in May.
Right.
And
Yeah.
the
Right.
voting will be, we won't even have approved the members in June. So it really
Frank
sort
is-
of disenfranchises
Okay.
this group,
Frank is
but there's
correct.
nothing we can do
No,
about it.
this is.
okay, no, that's
It's
fine.
just like
how
a
the-
shareholder, any
That's exactly
shareholder.
right.
meeting.
There's a
Exactly.
date of
It has to be
record,
cutoff date,
and
yeah.
if you're not a member by the date of record, you can go the next time,
It's
but not
in-
that
Okay.
time. This is normal
Yeah.
process for any kind of an organization with.
The new membership is a minuscule number no matter what.
Right.
Sure.
Yes.
4
Yeah,
people
really.
or something?
yeah.
Right. Then there is a provision for a date of record if we didn't establish one, but since we did establish April 30th as a date of record, then that becomes a date of record, and it's just an administrative follow-through. It's pretty
Could
straightforward.
you in your minutes note that this is prepared and maybe with small
But-
modifications, that's what the secretary can use to send out?
Yeah, I think this should maybe be
That's-
either a separate or an attachment, because that's really about the fun part, not about the business part.
I do them all
There's
together.
no reason
would
why the
too,
front part
because
isn't the notice
might get turned
also.
off.
Why don't you just make something that's attractive and will catch
Yeah.
the attention of.
Yeah, I got this. It's one email. You can have an
Okay.
attachment of this, you
Yeah.
can have an attachment of agenda. It won't be boring. It'll just include very nuts and bolts. It'll establish a start time, which they don't know yet.
No,
It starts at
because the
noon,
noon,
and
that's this part, but didn't we talk about the business meeting starting at 11?
No.
No, we thought it started at
Noon.
12
Noon
and then
to
12:30
12:30.
play, tennis play at
We
12:30.
started
Is
at
that-
noon.
There was some, because when I listened to the tape,
Yeah.
because there was some about earlier, like
Right.
11:30 or something, and then it
I
said
think
noon.
the secretary, if she wants to make an adjustment, a half-hour adjustment in there,
Let's
would
just-
be acceptable to us.
Go with
in any
Let's
noon?
just
event.
keep it at noon.
Noon,
No,
because I
no.
think the save the date already said noon
Yeah,
too
noon.
and such
Okay.
too, didn't it? Save the date? I'm not sure.
I don't
It
think
had a
I
date.
don't think I had the
there was no
time.
time.
Oh, there was no time.
No. So we'll go with noon.
Okay.
I'll work with Denise on the formal agenda requirements. We have a flyer, it'll be a simple email. The email distribution, and this is, we'll need to decide if we want to send it to everyone, including those members who are not eligible to vote because they joined later, or if we want to send it only to that April 30th list.
Well, I think that that's going to be hard to take everybody out, because I have a feeling that there's a lot of emails still in the
Yeah.
in the database that
Yep.
they're sending the
So
emails
we're gonna send it to the list that we have then.
that includes everybody. I mean, even past people.
Draw a line under the numbers that.
So when we get to the voting process later on, we're gonna need to make sure that that April 30th list is what we're
Right.
using to validate ballots, right? So, okay, are we clear then on the notice requirement, how that looks down? I will take that responsibility with Denise and make sure we get whatever flyer we need to do is done.
Sure. And so I know we had talked about just to make sure that we get enough people there that we do call it a membership appreciation, or we're calling it something a little bit different. Should we go back to reverting to calling this the annual meeting then versus, you know, that was kind of what we had discussed last time to get people there, not necessarily calling it an annual meeting because we do have tennis going on and many clinics going on.
We can call it both. We can call it an annual meeting and an appreciation day.
Yeah, let's do that.
Sure.
As long as we're providing notice that it is the annual meeting in the agenda, I think we should.
Sure, I'll
try to
revise
get as
this to
many
add
people-
annual
It's gonna be
meeting.
fun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, hopefully the administrative part is very short and the rest of it's socializing and hitting tennis balls.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
Okay. So, let's see.
Hello. Are we allowed to park?
That was all I had there, and then the next thing on number
No, that's the first time I've ever seen you.
Number 8.
That's a parent
That's what number 8.
I think we just covered number 8. So number 9, this was a request from me to establish a written guideline for how the election process is going to work and being able to communicate that to our membership in case that we get questions or in case that management has questions that they need to answer. I think having a list of FAQs or at least a guideline that everyone is preaching from the same hymnbook
Okay.
would be a good thing to do. So I want to open it up for discussion so that we can certainly get management's input as well, since they're probably fielding many questions and have a role in this as well as the board. So,
Well, since we're just going through an election right now, we're going to have a lot of people that get some insight in the next 3 weeks or so, 4 weeks. Why don't we just leave that on the agenda for next board meeting, and on that basis start putting together an appropriate guideline for election procedure. I know that you've worked hard on getting us to the point where we are now. And I've got to tell you, I've been a member here since 1978. And that's the first time I ever put my ballot in an envelope. So, there are some new things, and that's fine. But we aren't prepared to write that as a board at any moment anyway. Maybe we identify somebody to head it up, and then they can put all this stuff together and get a working group for themselves and write it up. But I don't know how you attack it tonight.
Well, I think that there are some things that we have to have ready for for June 8th. Okay. One of those, I think that we've already established, if you read the email, it tells you how we're doing the ballots. So that's a written thing. But we have to go one step beyond that once it closes. To me, we have to have people to open the ballots, count the ballots. The only thing that was, I thought that there might be more questions, but we haven't had it, is if people aren't around to come in and sign the ballot, what has been happening is they'll send a letter, an envelope to Lake Murray Tennis Club, and they've signed the back of it. They put their member number on the back of it, signed it, and it's in the ballot box.
Thank you.
I see.
Okay,
there
so
are
it's
some
not even
people-
open.
There are some people who are mailing in ballots,
Right.
and is that something that we are accepting or we're not
Yeah,
accepting?
no, we are
If they're
accepted.
valid members.
Yeah.
So did we?
It's really no different than what we do here. It still has a name and a member number on it. So that shouldn't be a problem.
So should we let people know that they can mail in the ballot? Because we didn't tell people they can mail in the ballot.
Your time.
Nice to meet you.
This is Christian.
Didn't we on that
He's gonna
email?
work on Sunday mornings.
Sunday morning? Nice to
Well,
meet you.
haven't had any questions, that's how they've done it.
Yes,
Oh,
we
you don't?
should. Because we discussed
Oh,
that
okay.
at the last meeting, that we would accept
I'll start
Yeah.
that Sunday morning, I'll use them more.
ballots submitted by mail. Ballots dropped in the ballot box so people could vote at the meeting.
Were you working the night shift?
That's the three.
No, this is just.
And I agree with you, because I think we ought to have at least some processes sketched out.
So you're still
So that we
evaluating
understand,
still
we've
okay.
discussed the process and that we have the process. And,
I'll see you later.
and we should have a written document at some point, even if we just have a guideline at this point of what the
I agree.
process is. Because this is gonna happen,
Each
it's
year.
been happening for whatever, 35 years, and it's gonna keep happening for 35 years. And one of the issues is, there's not a lot of, it's transfer knowledge, right? So let's get a,
Well, effectively, maybe you're going to have to look at the bylaws when you revise the bylaws.
well, or at least, because one of the things in a lot of
Yeah, I-
organizations is there's more than bylaws.
Yeah.
Like, if you're the president, you actually get some information that says, here's what the past
Sunday.
guys have done.
Yeah.
Here's sort of how you, if you're the treasurer, you
Procedures.
get
Yeah.
something. You don't just walk in and go like, well, here's, you know.
Right.
Well, I've been in organizations where you walk in and
You're
just
with
go,
Andy?
hey, I don't know where the checkbook is, I don't know where anything is.
Or
Figure it out.
bylaws, what are those? I've been on the board for 3 years, I've never seen the bylaws, right?
So,
Brian did make us all binders in the beginning, and I'm hoping to like also add things to it and add anything
in that
from
case,
events or
I figured
election
Jack was
processes
gonna be
and
on
maybe things to
for
be able to
free,
hand over to
because he doesn't
the next person or the next treasurer
He
or the
has
secretary or things like that too. But I agree that there is some sort of coming in, and I think kind of coming in when I just came in, there wasn't anything to receive or such to. It would be nice to pass that on to the next person of what different events were done through the history of the club and what worked and what didn't, or some notes or and different for each position, not just events, of course, for each leagues and different positions.
And that
That would be super helpful.
so back to your topic, let's do it as, because we have some processes we have to address. So I think the idea of sending out again another bit of information that we will accept by mail, we'll accept by, just reminding everybody to vote. That on election day, how we're going to handle the counting of the votes. We have talked, we did talk about it in the last meeting, but we didn't adopt or formalize anything, okay? So, because what we talked about, and one of the things I said is like, well, obviously you have to have somebody neutral,
Keep an eye
the
out.
count that's in charge of the election. They certify the election, they're not running for anything. And I suggested Bill Campbell because I think he told me he's done that before somewhere. But I only just threw his name out because he's the guy who played tennis with once in a while, the next year.
What do I
So, you know, that's just,
Law and order guy.
it is. And he's like the most anal SOB I've ever met. I gotta
Notice
tell
it's
you.
being recorded.
I know, I was just gonna say.
And don't worry, Bill, I've told you that to your face. And by the way, we're a lot alike. But that's only, I'm not suggesting him, I'm just saying I use him as an example.
And like if that
It's
takes
just that,
back,
you have to
let
have
me
somebody
know.
to
Alright, so-
count the ballots,
I mean, if it's
check
raining,
the election, report to the results, and then it just is what it is, right?
Blocking and tackling, nuts and bolts, and all I'm looking to do is come to a consensus on what the key things are, maybe 2, maybe 12, but the key things are, memorialize them in writing, and then communicate what they are, and then to follow through on what was transparency and execution. That's all.
It's voting closed on the 8th, and is that going to be, then it could be counted by Bill or whoever is appointed to it that day after the event or
I would
such.
guess voting is closed at when we break off the meeting on the 8th. I mean,
We should clarify that.
Yes, because I
Needs to be
didn't have that
clarified.
in the email. So it's a good reminder. You could send out a reminder with all your annual notices of, voting, the time,
Well,
the cutoff.
the thing is, we don't have anything written down that I know of about who we select to count the ballots, what we expect of them in terms of comparing your club membership number with the to verify that is
that there's only one vote and
Yeah.
stuff.
Correct, yeah.
Well, I had given, Bruce had sent me the email list, but it had like 600 members or something, so it wasn't a good one for for going with the ballot. So what I did was I gave Kathy a list. I combined all the memberships so that there was only one line for a membership. And I gave her a list of I sorted it by name, just one name. And then I gave another one sorting it by member number. So to me, what happens is when we go to count the ballots, okay? The ballot gets open, the ballot box gets open, and the sealed envelope should be put in numeric order. That way, when you can see if there's more than one envelope for a membership. It can be checked off of that list. Then, once you have the correct ballots, then they can start opening them, and the envelope goes here and the ballot goes here, so that they aren't together.
Just in case.
But I would suggest you do not throw out the envelopes.
Yes.
Until later. And then the ballots can be counted.
Hi, how's your day going?
Great, how are you?
Pretty good.
Pretty
And then what do we do with the
Thank you.
ballots that don't
He's gonna
match
be
up to
starting
the
here.
member
This is
number?
Christian.
Nice to meet you.
Plus you're
Nice.
training.
The last 3 years, we've done it the same way, and I can maybe go over that with you
What quarter are we
guys.
on?
You're
That would be
on
great.
So here it is, so it's different. So they would get the ballot, Bill did the ballot, he had everyone sitting here, there were 3 board members.
Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
And they each had a tally sheet, so they'd have that ballot, and every time he set out a name, they'd tally. And then they'd all add up their tallies, and everything had to equal what everyone had. If not, Bill went back through the whole thing and did it again. And they checked the numbers by that same way, the numbers, if you had duplicate numbers, because sometimes a husband and a wife will vote.
Nice to meet you.
And so we had to take those out. So any problem that we had
Nice to
with
meet
the
you.
ballot, he would take those out and set them aside.
All
And
right.
then they would go over those separately when everything else was done. So let's say,
You're on
you
court
know,
2.
there's a lot that were duplicated, so we couldn't use them all to get the
Good to see you.
There have been some duplicate
Yeah.
ballots.
Bye.
If you have a husband and wife that each vote,
Right.
did they,
Neither
or
one
neither
counts.
balance
So
counts?
that's
Right.
There was no chance for them to
Right.
use one ballot or
At
the
least everyone on
other.
that.
And then also, if their
Well, that's
membership
something
number
that
was
they ought to
wrong,
be
he put them
aware
up
of.
to the side
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It was
They put the
put
wrong
in
number.
an email. I don't know if people.
But I'll go down.
I don't know
Let's
if-
go down and I'll
I don't know
show
how
you.
many people actually know their membership number and
They
are
don't.
confident that it. I know I don't even know mine.
Well, that's why she has the
I
list.
know mine now because I came in and asked for it.
I have the roster up there from Bruce, and they say, can I have my member number? And I just give them their member number.
And you know who they are
Yeah,
when they ask
I
for the
know.
member number. Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
I know.
she really isn't associated with the ballot at that point. She's just
No, I
giving
don't
them
see the
their
ballot.
member
I'm
numbers.
Yeah, yeah.
just giving them their member number.
Right. Right.
Because there's some
Yeah.
that don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a whole system that maybe needs to be explored at a point in time.
Well, we're already, excuse the expression, but half pregnant. So if we can take where we are and just move forward from here, it's not going to be perfect. We'll find ways to make it better next time, but at least identify how we're going to proceed from
Well,
here.
I think that's why I suggested that maybe we write the election process guide
As we go.
immediately after we've had the election, and because now we've got the whole complete picture in front
I
of
think we
us.
could do both. I think we
Yeah.
could establish what we're going to adhere to, and then based on what we learn, have a summary that we pass on to the next board and probably be helpful to them. So do we want to address anything? So it sounded like there was consensus to send out a reminder email with some clarifications. Maybe people read it, maybe they don't. Maybe print out something and leave it here too, just reminding people to vote. Make sure you know your member number. You can mail in your ballot. All votes must be received by
noon.
12:30 by noon, and
Right,
by
it
noon
says
on
noon.
Saturday.
If they get here at noon, they gotta turn them in by noon?
I would say at the end of this
12:30.
event.
Not the end, no.
I think they gotta have time to fill
So
them out.
it
here.
has to be after the meeting.
Yeah.
I don't think it can be
12,
before the meeting.
12:30, if that's when we're gonna break the meeting and
Yeah.
go out to the,
As long as
why,
we,
why don't you just say
you're in the meeting, we tell everybody that.
Close.
Again,
Yeah.
Well, we have to, in the meeting,
proper.
we have to open
Is
up
the end
the floor for
For
nominations.
That makes sense to me.
And so it could
So
be that
you
you
can't close the election before.
can't close the election before you have finished the nomination.
And I think
So-
that announcement can be made too at the event. Just make sure if you haven't, it is being closed again right after this
Yeah, we
meeting.
could say
Last
by 1
chance for your
o'clock.
silent auction.
Yeah, 1 o'clock.
Yeah, like I said, exactly.
Okay,
I would do my son did.
Yeah, that's
all right.
good.
So 1 o'clock, it closes. Rather than send out a reminder email, want to clarify, make sure you know your member number. Don't vote twice if you're a family or a couple members. There's no more couples members, it's just family, right? So don't vote twice.
Family memberships only have one vote.
Yeah.
And juniors have no votes.
You don't have to put that down. That gray iron.
We accept mail-in. We do accept mail-in, but
So how do you want that
So mail it in,
to like?
Must
put it in to Lake Marie Tennis Club,
Yeah.
and on the back, put your member number and sign the back.
The back of the envelope. Yeah.
The back of the envelope.
okay.
I had just one other issue that's come up. I don't know how to handle. So I told him to call and talk to one of the board members, but he did his ballot. He stuck it in the box. He came back later in the day and said I completely did it wrong. What can I do to get my ballot out of the box and redo it? And I said I can't do that myself. You need to talk to one of the board members. He said that he would then he'd do a new one and please disqualify the other one. And then, so when Bill gets both of them and sees two numbers the same, one of the envelopes is going to say, please disqualify the other one.
Well, all you have to say is, this is a revised edition.
Yeah, that's what he was going to do.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
get rid of the first one because we now revised.
So that'll
it.
happen, just so you guys, if you decide to okay that or whatever. He said he would call.
Well, you've got a process that you're gonna go through by the numbers anyway, so that would be a quick sort.
I wouldn't think there would be a lot of those.
No.
No, I agree. I think people make mistakes. He said he wanted to revise it. I would say sure. Yes, in my opinion.
We're not.
We're not going
not elected
to advertise it.
Not looking for hanging chats here.
No.
The
Recreational
only
tennis
problem
club.
is if they come in, I only have one suggestion. Please tell them to date it. The revised one, put a date on it. So that they revise it again, at least you know which revised revision is.
Well, then if it's
Final edition.
Okay.
But-
That was the only real thing that's come up so far.
That's a good question, for sure. Is that something that we want to communicate or just leave that?
No,
alone?
I don't think so.
We'll remain
I think that's in your FAQ
We'll remain
question.
silent about the, how do I revise
Please
my
don't
ballot
encourage
question?
it.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Set in stone once you leaves your fingertips.
Okay. So basically, that's just information that we're giving Kathy because if she's the one that's going to get the question from I mixed up on my ballot and how can I corrected.
Yeah.
And who do
So-
you want me to come to between all of you when I have something
Well,
like that?
no, you've heard that, what we've decided we do.
But I think
So-
she's saying if other questions come up
Oh,
Yeah.
that she doesn't
Who
know, who
wants to
should she?
talk to the member about it?
I would definitely like to hear what the
Yeah.
question is.
Okay.
yeah,
I'll tell
well,
him.
why don't you let
And I have no problem saying, you
President.
know, all board members. It's what we've done historically, is that, talk to anyone on the board.
Or just send the question to all the board members.
Just Brian's
Okay, that's easier.
easier,
Sending
that
an
way you don't
email
have to
to
shred it.
everybody.
And what I will do,
You know,
for
get seven
transparency
conflicting
purposes,
opinions.
is any question I get, I will summarize and send out to everyone on the board so that you all are aware if I get questions and what the response is, so that you guys are all aware.
Good.
Yeah, so that covers, I believe, the email update about the election, reminder, clarification, short and sweet. As far as determining the vote counting process, is that something that we want to identify now? And just-
Yeah,
This
I
is
would
how
say.
we're gonna do it, and we'd be settled in on having an independent, not being an independent party, but an independent member.
Yeah, as an inspector of elections.
So we'll have an inspector of elections,
We should name the people now, or, you know.
to make sure that they would.
If we have
You want
somebody.
to?
Yeah. I mean,
Do we have
I
anybody?
don't have any.
Why don't
Come forward.
what about,
We've got a president, why
Bill.
don't you find somebody and we'll just approve them at the annual meeting that they are gonna be the general control for it.
Yeah, I don't know Bill, but I take the board and Kathy's word for the fact that he's an honorable guy, and if we want to have him do it and he reads off the names or he shows the ballots to people who count, I'm fine with Bill. And it seems like Frank knows him, Kathy knows him, he's done it before.
Will you be ready in a month?
I don't know, he's
Yeah,
just had some surgery,
yeah.
so
Okay.
I certainly think it'd be nice if we ask him, but I think we ought to have a backup plan just in case.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you got, anybody has somebody else in mind.
Well, what I'm saying is, since it's an annual meeting, you can just ask the membership at the meeting if they'll approve this person.
I mean, that's gonna be a time-consuming thing.
No, you may have named the person ahead of time.
Yeah, I think we just.
Just
we-
get the
let's-
members.
No, let's just get somebody ahead of time,
Yeah.
somebody that's willing to do it, because I'd hate to push that on somebody that didn't want to be doing it.
Okay.
and then the other thing that I thought is, we've got 3 members of the board and the nominating committee that's not up for reelection. Bruce, you, and you. How about having them do the counting then?
That works for me.
Denise,
Be the tally people.
So
Yeah.
so Diane and Bruce and Emily, who are not running, but who are current board members, would certify the elections. Is that
That sounds good.
okay? So instead of an inspector of election, we're gonna have those 3 people.
No, you have the inspector.
Stay out of this thing.
Inspector
Yeah.
too.
Those 3 would be doing the,
But just the independent guy in charge, that way there's no conflicts.
Yeah.
For anything, there's no issues.
So we'll recruit an inspector of elections, and then we will have the current board members who are not seeking re-election be the witnesses, so to speak, that certify that the election count was done. Okay. And is there a time that we want to identify for the count?
say 1 o'clock?
Well, when the
After the
That day.
festivities? or-
Well, that's,
Oh,
Well, no,
because that's what
when
goes
the
into
voting
tennis.
closes, right?
Voting closes at 1 o'clock, we
1
said.
Yeah.
So-
And then
When you
they
begin
don't
that.
get to go play tennis, and have fun, they have to work.
I don't like this plan at all.
If we don't have to announce it that day, then it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't-
maybe just take a few minutes. Day.
Okay, so we
The
can,
next
we
day.
can discuss the Saturday. I guess we can determine that date amongst ourselves, and whoever the
The time when all 4 of them are available.
Sure. Do we want to allow anyone else?
Say within a week?
Yeah, or maybe we could just do it after the festivities if people are free.
With a
or such
bottle of
something.
wine?
Not here. I can be. Somewhere close.
Okay, so the time and date TBD. But no later than the 15th of June, should we say?
Yeah.
So we make an announcement on the day the 15th is, but we announce it no later than the 15th.
Also, isn't that be it next Saturday?
Yeah, be done. That's one
Is
week.
that a week? That's
Yeah.
that's an okay timeline. Okay. And that'll give the new board 2 weeks to know what they got themselves into. Okay, so June 15th.
Time
Okay, is there anything else we want to address in the overview of the election process? Or did that sufficiently cover the key areas?
Can I just clarify?
For sure.
So we're all in agreement it's okay to ask Bill?
I have no objection
Yeah,
to that.
sure.
Okay. And then
You gonna ask
Are
him?
you gonna ask him? I'm gonna put it, I'm gonna write it down.
Or Kathy can ask him. We're on the collective email. You got to I'll just email him and say we elected you to something last night. Get well quick.
We didn't want you to miss us, so come on back.
He said he would be willing to help out. So take him at his word.
Okay.
And he's really good at it.
Well, it's good to have somebody who
Yeah,
knows what they're
done it
doing.
before.
His
Yeah.
pistol's right on his hip there when he's doing
Open
it.
carry, huh? Okay. So is there anything else then on the election process? I think we'll have that intro email that goes out. We've identified the vote counting procedure, the inspector of elections, hopefully Bill, and the 3 board members not up for re-election will certify that process and be there. The count will happen sometime before June 15th when we'll announce the results, and voting will end at 1 p.m. On the 8th. It's good enough for me. At least we've identified some of the key questions. More will come up. Whatever questions come up, you can send to me. I'll circulate them to the board so that everyone's aware what they are. And then we can do a postmortem after the 15th and potentially revise an election guide or suggestions for the next board.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all very much. On to new business then. Just open it up.
She had the lead stuff,
leads,
yeah.
If there's a man report, however we want to do it. So let's go ahead, man. Take it away.
Okay, so we have ladies 8.0 doubles team that wants to play on Thursdays, USTA at 9 a.m. And the Over the Hill gang plays at that time, but the dates will be scheduled. The Lake Murray home team will be the dates that the Over the Hill gang is away. The league coordinator said that would be no problem. So this came out, we had a captain's meeting since the last board meeting. And this was one of the things that was kind of suggested as maybe a way for the different teams to kind of get to know each other and figure out what level really everyone is, because there are some people who need to move up and there are some people who need to move down. And so if we have an 8-0 league, we can mix some things up and maybe help people come to an understanding of
Where they
where they stand. And it's not just about playing social matches at other clubs. But for some people it is. I mean, we could have one competitive team and one social team, I think, at almost every level. But we don't have a 3-0 team, and we kind of need a 3-0 team. But nobody wants to be captain, so I would like someone to move to approve this for the Thursdays, the ladies team.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
So, second.
Any discussion?
Sure, it fits in with the court usage and everything.
So you would
It's very
coordinated
tight on
Yeah.
Thursdays. So
Yeah.
Dan looked at it again and we're gonna see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, if
Over the hill.
there's too many
A
complaints.
lot of times Over the Hill can condense, so a lot of
Yeah.
times they won't take all 4 of their courts. Lately, they've just been taking 2 to 3 courts, so.
Well, while you suggested Over the Hill would have away dates, I don't think they ever play away.
Yeah, they do.
They do now.
Do they?
That came up early.
Yeah.
Early in our term. I managed to get in trouble with everyone here, I think, so including Over the Hill gang.
Yeah, and that's a president's job, isn't it? Get everybody on his target.
So is it management's opinion to support this? Okay. Any other discussion? We're all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We have approved the women's
And who's
8-0 double
captaining it?
USTA.
Oh.
I didn't want to put that out there like I was influencing anything, but I got elected.
Yeah, that would change everything. That would have changed everything.
I don't want any special treatment.
Does anyone want to appeal?
And we also have for WTT, last season we had 3 4-0 teams. And we have one of our 3-5 teams who wanted to move up to 4-0. But I told them we had to wait and see if there are actually already 3 4-0 teams. But it looks like there are only 2. That's all that's in here. Have we heard about Colleen Hartman's team? Well, it's
I'm
not.
sure they're gonna do it.
I am too.
And
But
KB's.
yeah, I saw the KB's already turned their thing in, and
And so they
Skylar.
have first.
yeah, right.
Dibs.
And that's what I told John, that they have preference.
Who is it?
John Grattan, double doubles.
Oh, they were here last year.
Right.
Oh.
But they're 3-5. They wanted to get out of the
okay.
Lob Fest and move.
I see.
I resemble that.
So I told them they had to. We'd have to wait and see. So Helgeston or whatever, if their team signs up,
Higginson's.
whatever.
Oh, Colleen Helmets.
Yeah. So, okay. And was there anything else from the captain's meeting we had? No, I think that was it. That's all. Okay.
Anyone else have any?
I just have a question. I totally forgot about the clinic, the walk-in clinic on the last
How's it
Volleys and.
Saturday.
Volleys,
Yeah.
no?
Did anybody go to that?
Gonna be working here.
Did you? How was it attended? How many?
I don't know the total numbers, but
How many courts did they?
should we have 4 courts?
It's even H of the 3 courts game.
Was it 3?
Nice to meet you.
There were 2. I saw the 2, and then I saw activity on the other side. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It'd be a lot. I want to go if I'm ever home on a
Both parts
Saturday.
were fun, the volleys and the Vino. Yeah, I think that was planned to be a monthly.
Yeah, it's,
I know.
they said
I'm
the
gonna-
last Saturday of every month.
I just need to be home on a Saturday.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I know that they said that they took that apart from the member survey, that there was some comments in there that people didn't want to take classes for like a block period of time, that they
Yeah.
wanted something more flexible just to drop in on. And so I know that they had given the feedback of that's what they had added to kind of, from the feedback from some of the members who wrote in the survey.
So how did they break it up? Because I know that in that thing it said like
2-5 to 4.
2-5 to 4-5. They didn't have 4-5s playing 2-5s, right?
No.
Oh.
No. I think I don't know if they asked people who they didn't know, where they usually play or what they're comfortable with. Certainly people who they know, they kind of said, "Oh, you're over here on this court, and we'll put you over here," and as they move people around, it seemed to work out.
Oh, good.
I'm sure they watched them warm up and they had all the info they needed.
Yep.
I know because I had some people were concerned. They go, "Well, I don't want to play with a 2-5." So I mean, and I said, I don't know how they're handling that.
No, they're professional.
Okay.
They had a number
Yeah.
of courts, and so they kept the people who.
Yeah.
I kind of thought
They
that they'd
did
break it
a
up.
up-down game one time on something else they did that sorted everybody out really fast.
Yeah. No, it was a good time. I had a couple of just quick things. Still no news on our stuff. I talked with Kelly, I emailed with Kelly, and she said that it's still being reviewed. I read in Balboa's minutes from their meetings that they still don't have theirs either. So we're just kind of in Never Never Land. We still have an opportunity to submit requests if we would like to, which we didn't formally do. We had some conversations with Kelly about why the ball field can have signs up and we can't, and things. So we can still do that if we want to. We haven't yet, so that's just something I wanted to mention. If there, if
As
we
far as
wanted to.
sponsors?
No, as far as anything in the special use permit that we would like to see changed. The city's open to our suggestions, to our promises, but we have not made any official or formal requests in terms of changing the special use permit. So.
I know we discussed some things. Do you remember what
Oh,
they
yeah.
were?
Well, we discussed a lot of language in there that was obsolete. We felt like the requirements about music and their license from the Recording Artists of America and the vending machine stuff that is no longer, the vending machine company that they're required to use does no longer exist, and things that Kelly said, oh yeah, just strike that, oh yeah, strike that, it doesn't matter. That meeting where it was like, this really does matter, I guess. We talked about signage, and we talked about are all of this stuff the same for all the city facilities, and she said no, they're not. At one point we had been told, someone had been told somewhere on they were all the same, but they were not all the same. So Balboa does have different rules from the city than we do.
Well, Balboa gets a lot of different, they get a subsidy from the city every year, we don't.
So there were a lot of things that basically Kelly said, if there's requests you have, submit them. We've remained silent on that so far as a board.
Well, if I had a choice, I would extend the period of the term period that we have. This 3 years, every 3 years is way too short. When it started, we had a period of 15 years that the city gave us. Now, it sounds funny, but one of the things that I'm really interested in is we have a big power bill every month. Going solar here makes real sense. But you can't go solar when you finance it for 15 years and all you can do is be here for 3 years. It's
You can't finance it out, right? So those are all great points and things that if we want, I guess my point was if we want to make a written request or provide any kind of written commentary, we can. We just haven't done it. I think I have a lot of ideas. I didn't want to go off the handle and just submit all my own ideas, but I think if as a board, if we want to, still have a chance. Not that it'll be read or mean anything, but it'll be on the record, and we can say these are things that we wish you would change. And certainly, Dan and Kathy have been here longer than I have for sure, and they may have some things that they would like to see changed on this stuff.
I'd like to make one motion then to do is change, put in requests. I would like to, maybe the 15-year SEP because of the solar, and if that won't happen, I would say at least minimum 5 years because of the resurfacing.
They don't tie out, right? They're not.
Yeah, and the resurfacing says 3 years, so I think that change that to resurfacing for 5 years, and the SUP has to go at least 5 years because I would hate to do the resurfacing in 3 and then, we paid for it and then it's gone.
Right. Okay. So should we, is there you want to make a motion, or are we still in discussion about how to solicit ideas?
How long do you have till you can make these submissions to the?
We have no idea, and Kelly claims to have no idea when the special use permit will be revised and approved and sent to us.
Okay, my concern is that Kelly has said it is in the attorney's hands right now. And this was back in December?
Yeah, if not November.
Hi.
Yeah.
How's your day going?
Good, how are you?
Pretty good.
We've gone 2 years
This is
without
Christian.
it.
He's going to start reading
Yeah.
here.
How you doing, Christian?
I mean, there's no harm in us,
Yeah.
there's no, if we remain silent and they send us
Okay.
a send us, we
Yeah.
complain
Okay.
after the fact, I think they have every right of saying,
Okay, we'll see.
tell us what you wanted,
Nice to meet
which is
you.
fine.
Alright.
But if as a board we want to say, hey, these are things we would like, then we have a chance.
Dan, do you know
I
if she
think we
paid?
should. I think if we can identify a few things, at least maybe 35 years, take everyone's ideas. I don't, something.
Just
Well, I
right
think
here.
if we put too many in there, they're not.
But
I think I wrote it wrong.
I agree with you, we should do something. It's better than nothing, right? They
Sure.
don't just say no, and what the heck's the difference? But you said you got a lot of ideas, so can we could you like put them down?
Absolutely, but
And,
happy to send
and
you.
let's just, you know, let everybody else put their
Circulate it,
ideas, let's
yeah.
circulate them and let's finalize a list and.
Perfect. So we can do that via email and then
Yeah.
we can send it off on behalf of the board.
That'd be great.
Okay.
And can we include management so we get their ideas too?
Yeah.
For sure. Absolutely. Okay. Then that's on me. It's the task. I
Okay.
will put a little list together and circulate it, and then we can have an email motion to approve it and just send it off.
Because I like Kathy's idea of 5 years.
Yeah, a longer.
Extending the term.
I mean, it just
Yeah.
makes sense.
So then-
It makes a lot of things easier.
Yes, totally agree. Completely agree. Councilman Sherman's office has requested participation at the next city council meeting on May 21st in support of the Mission Trails Regional Park Master Plan, which has been going on for at least 15 years. They've been working hard on it for the last 5 years. We are part of Mission Trails Regional Park, and that master plan impacts what the city can do and how we may, what our future may be. So I was gonna try to go and at least listen, not in a professional capacity as the president of the board, but I've been involved with that park for a long time, and I think the plan is as good as it's ever going to get. There's a lot of things I don't like, but it's a bunch of compromises, and not having a plan has prohibited a lot of investment and movement on things that I think will make the neighborhood and the park a lot better place. So if anyone else wanted to attend, or if we want as a tennis club to have an official position on supporting the plan, I'd be happy to send that in if I can't participate or provide that commentary.
Is it perpetuates the existing use? Is that what it is?
It is a 100+ page document, and it covers everything from
Yeah,
acquisition.
I just meant on the suspecting the.
Yeah, relative to the tennis, it did nothing that I saw, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an expert, but it didn't do anything that would prohibit us from operating as we are, nor from putting in the additional courts that have been approved verbally, not in writing, but verbally.
Do you know what time that meeting is on?
I don't. I think it's at 6 on the 21st, but I can get the email from Councilman Sherman's office.
Let's just do the
Well, I certainly think that as long as it perpetuates the use, the existing use, then we should go on record that we're supportive of perpetuating the existing use.
Right. I mean, there were during that process there was commentary from people who really wanted to take a lot of the improvements to the natural landscape and revert them back to
Yes.
natural landscape.
Yeah, that's what I'm point with that.
And
Because
there
the
was
cement may not be cement much longer.
right, and I know we joke about that sometimes. The tennis club may not be here, but there are people in the community who feel strongly that it should be open space, and I feel strongly it should be. So, I'll forward off some information that I got relative to that meeting and circulate a suggested statement in support of just to our network.
Probably look at a copy of this plan.
There's a copy online. I can send you a link to it. It went through a whole lot of reviews, and I actually read it.
I have to, actually, not all of it, but I have to.
It had to do, for a while I was working trying to get the BMX park down there. There's a big project related to that. There's mountain bike trails connected up to East Elliott, land acquisitions in Santee to connect the park. There's a whole, it's a huge
Tower
document. But it's really interesting if you're concerned about land use. Parking, do parking lots for Cows Mountain area. I mean, all sorts of things that congestion.
Did she
Traffic
drive on
fatality
screen
intersection of Jackson and Navajo.
Potential travel lines
We're
as
interested
well.
in it mostly as it
as,
affects us in what we're doing.
Right.
And as
no.
far as real estate development, a lot of things have turned from commercial to residential along Mission Gorge, where a lot of those, like, trailers and things were too. So from a real estate development perspective, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening in the neighborhood, potential trolley lines.
So I think it's good. I think it's good for the club as it's written. But that's just if someone else wants to read it, that'd be great.
I think that would probably be done as I glance to you from a legal perspective.
And then yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I do have something that I forgot
Ed,
You had mentioned to me about doing a financial,
sounds like a last name.
signing financial.
Correct.
I don't know whether I should be the one that does it because we hired somebody to do the financials in 2018.
Radical.
I wasn't doing the
Radical.
financials in 2018.
Okay.
I think it's radical.
So I believe that the bylaws, there was clear language on that, and I think it had to do with if it was not an audited financial that an officer needed to sign that it was not audited.
Unaudited review, you reviewed it.
Yep.
You got it.
Okay, just want me to do a notice then? I mean, you don't sign it, I think that I have to state then that it wasn't an audited financial.
The language
That's
is
what you really have to state.
Yeah, so it's not signing this, it's just stating.
Yeah, it says the annual report, and I'm reading from section 3 on page 22. The annual report shall be accompanied by any report on it of independent accountants, or if there is no such report, by the certificate of an authorized officer of the club that such statements were prepared without audit from the club's books and records. So I think we can just go verbatim from that these statements were prepared without audit from the club's book and records, and if we sign that statement, then we're good to go.
Okay, I'll do that up and send it to you.
Perfect, and then that copy that you send will be the copy that goes in the annual report. That's perfect, that's when we start the right version of it.
Okay, then also I wanted to just have in the minutes, I picked up the tax return on Monday night.
Yeah, well,
It was due today,
maybe just.
so that did get filed,
Great.
okay? There's 4 tax returns that have to be filed for a nonprofit. So all of that got done. I had to get Denise because I had to have a check go out with it, so.
They were filed.
Yesterday.
Yeah, I think it was.
I don't wait till the last minute.
Anything on your end?
So I just have one thing we need to talk about is the bees.
Oh,
The bees and the weeds, version 2.
The bees are back in full force, if not worse.
Are they back?
They go to the other side now, so now both sides are.
So
Hannah almost got stung the other day. We had a member this morning.
when you say both sides, are you talking about the container? They're back in the. Okay, so here's the issue. Getting a crane in there that's big enough to lift it up is almost not possible given the terrain and that they can't drive it back there. They need like a big beefy 4-wheel drive one, but that's too big because of the trees. So Jesse came out and did the best he could to get all the comb out of there. He tried to fill it up with foam,
Pretty tight.
insulation, fill up all the empty spaces. But unless we get it on concrete or on something solid, I mean, Bruce has got gravel there that we can put around there, but we also have to get the tree branches and everything are right up next to it. That makes it easier for them to find their way in. So it may be that we need to figure out how to move it and put it on a new pad. And I don't know how you do that if you can't get a crane in there to lift it. I think when that was put in, the trees weren't as grown over, the landscaping wasn't the way it is now.
Actually, I used a heister and just picked it, because there are slots in the side of it, they just
Yeah.
dragged it kind of into position and left. My own feeling is, I believe, with wide pieces of wood, if we boxed that thing in all sides and then took the gravel that's there and used it to weight and hold that, the boards up against the
It's
side.
just any
the
gap,
bees, yeah,
that's that big, they're gonna find. So it almost has to be cement or something, or it needs,
Plastic sheeting, would that help? Or is that-
until, I mean,
Until I get
if
the
they,
water.
okay, so we take them out of water meter boxes all the time. Because they love that tiny little opening and they go in there, so the irrigation boxes, we're on contract with Helix Water District. So you go in there and you take them out and you get all the wax that you can possibly get out. If you don't seal the hole, they go right back, a new swarm will come along and go right back in there. We've used, they will chew through duct tape, they'll chew through, you have to, they now make water meter box covers that don't have a hole. That's the only way to, like.
Okay, well then if we did that, suppose we just dig a small foundation around the outside of it,
Yeah,
put a wooden frame up and pour
Pour
concrete
cement, yeah.
around the unit.
that would probably work.
And we could probably do that for $300 or $400 as compared with the cost of the crane.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we could get, Chet is construction guy, right? To take a look at that,
Ask him.
He's got
to
his-
kind of do what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ask him.
'Cause
He's out of town right now.
We
like I
have,
was telling Nan today, and she made a good point too about it, but we had a member who, we had a big swarm come over today, and it was really big, and she tried to run away from it and fell on the tennis court and got all scraped. So, but like Nan says, it could have been a swarm. They're
Swarms
always
can
going
come
over.
from anywhere. You
Yeah.
can't say, oh, that was your bees.
Yeah.
The thing is that in the county, if there is a beehive on your property, you're responsible for it. So even if it's living in a tree in your backyard, you're responsible for maintaining it.
Still
And if you're
liability.
keeping a hive, it has to be with movable frames. So that's not possible out there, so we can't have a hive of bees living here.
I don't know if it's this hive, just as you mentioned, but the same thing happened with the kids' class last week. My daughter's 6, and Eldon had all the kids, all the 6-year-olds, hit the ground because the swarm came through the
So
tennis,
sorry, you
the
guys.
tennis courts. And a lot of parents were really alarmed by that.
And
So,
that's nature.
Obviously,
You can't.
right, of course.
And honestly, a swarm of bees is probably the gentlest bees you will find because they don't have a home to protect, and their little tummies are all full of all the honey they could suck up when they left the hive, so they can't bend their bellies to sting you. As they can still do it, but it's a lot harder work for them. And they don't want to. They're trying to find a safe place to be. So even though it's really intimidating to see this cloud of bees flying over.
Through the tennis courts
Yeah.
with all the little children there.
Yeah.
Yes, it was very.
In the 19 years we've been here, in the spring, there's always about 2 or 3 times a week a swarm of bees that flies past the club, usually
Sure.
early afternoon. This morning's
Yeah,
swarm was a different
that's when
swarm.
they
though.
leave. Usually is early
Yeah.
afternoon.
Just was saying, just
Poor
a little
Hannah.
liability of having it here and having.
been stung, so.
And she's been stung, and I know that Thomas said he was stung and that he was chased too. So, whatever the case is, just that liability before we have any other problems. We need to take care of it.
Yeah, watch out for bees with the snakes.
Yeah. Because Jesse was here and he dug and dug and dug.
Did he vacuum them out?
I don't think, well, he may have, but I doubt it. I think he generally,
Is there a reason why he left a hole? Does that do something?
no, probably
You know, and then the foam's there.
the foam is there, yeah.
With the hole.
Well, probably because he thought that gravel was gonna get put in around it.
Sometimes if the door is left open like this,
Because he tried to get as far under there as possible so he could get as many of the bees and as much of the beeswax out. But
Yeah, and now they're on the other side going through that little hole through the storage.
yeah, so.
Was there an idea that we could potentially do some framing around and then pour some concrete, some ready mix concrete?
like, yeah, or a footing or something around it.
and build an awful lot of the brickwork around here. And I can figure out some way
If you wanna
to
wait
put
for the
something
sun
up
to
to
be
cover that up.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's just take a look at it. See what-
then we'll have to
But-
put more trash bags.
Well, I have another piece of new business I'd like to ask about.
Are we moving on from bees then? We're gonna, it sounds like Frank
They're
and
gonna
Don and maybe Chad and some other members are gonna take a look.
Take a look at it, see if we can figure it out.
Okay. Do we have signs warning about bees just before we,
Yeah, but what's the warning?
well, that there's an active beehive?
Do we really want to
Well,
say that?
Let's not call it a beehive.
Yeah.
It's an unwanted beehive, at least.
Yeah, well,
Let's
just
not
saying
give-
we know it's kind of like snakes and there's quail out there too, and there's all kinds of things that live right here next to the courts. I don't know.
But people aren't allergic to quail.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
we don't need to notify anyone, maybe an email blast to people just saying the bees are out again by court, or we can remain silent.
I would say we need to address the problem. I mean, what do you think from a liability?
I think that we have notice from our membership
Yep.
that there is a problem.
And for
And
management.
then we have the responsibility to take action.
I agree.
I don't think you can just walk away from that.
Send out an email saying we're looking into it. I mean, we're dealing with.
We're on top of the situation and
Let's just give a notice that we're revising our estimates of the bee problem, and that we'll be coming up with some new
Solutions.
responses, because I don't.
Be aware there's bees around and we're addressing it.
that's
What's
very,
a simple
the more
notice?
vague the better.
Can we do it by just putting a notice on the board? Like notice for snakes and,
Well,
or do we have to, or do we send something out?
As long as it's temporary, I think you can put a notice on the fence down there, on court two, because that's the court that, where you're most likely to get attacked by a bee. But
No one's
That
gonna
has
get
to-
attacked
that
by
has-
our bees. They're nice bees.
are you sure they are?
No, there might be a mean one in there.
Doesn't sound like according to
I
other
know.
people, so I don't
That's the
know
thing,
about
if
that.
you- because those are not the bees that were there before. Those are new bees that have already moved in because this is swarm season. Swarms are like a flower that goes to seed. That's how it perpetuates itself. So swarms, that's how they perpetuate. They take off and set up a new home, and they leave half the hives in the old place. So, I mean, this is just we're getting calls constantly. We can't keep up with them
All
together.
right, so it sounds like
So what-
we have an action plan that Frank and Don are going to work on addressing.
We'll
We
get some.
can send out a short notice to people, saying that the bees are active at that time of year, and we're working on solutions.
So hoe your weeds and get rid of the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I think it's just acknowledging that we're aware and that we are doing something that we have noticed now. And we can move on from there.
My new piece of our request is, I'm back there working on doing something with that gazebo.
It slows down like
Uh,
and then I would usually go get the trash.
there are going to be some expenses involved, and I was asking, I asked Bruce if I could just advance some money and expect that to be paid back. And he was very insistent that no, we had to get approval before we spend any money. And so I don't know how you're going to do that, but buying concrete to put around the bee problem down there, and buying paint and supplies to repair the gazebo are going to have some real expenses involved.
And in our budget for this year, for 19, we had court maintenance, I believe, was a line item. And if I recall from the April statements, we were under budget year to date. I don't know what, I don't have it in front of me, but if maintenance fell under that, then the board could make a motion and approve.
Yeah, you just have to make a motion and approve something, so.
We can do a not to exceed.
Not to exceed,
We can
so-
make it high, so that.
So do the gazebo first,
So last time.
okay, and then,
These may need
Yeah,
more immediate.
let's look at figuring out what the bee fix is first.
So
And then
yeah, we don't know
We
that.
can put a fence around that, or put at least something circle around it. Let's just deal with the gazebo.
Yeah,
so
Yeah, with the bee issue we need to resolve.
Yeah, we just need to figure
So
it out.
if you have
Yes.
an idea about what you believe that would take, a not to exceed amount that you
Well,
wanted to move for.
you know,
I did
I
it
could.
wrong. I don't know how serious.
I think we could put a temporary,
I'll probably change that.
some temporary repairs out there would stop the bee problems for right now, for less than $150 anyway. But I would like $150 for the gazebo.
Great, so I'll make a
Yeah,
motion.
Yes.
Make a motion
That's
to
a dream.
approve
Yeah.
$100 expense for the gazebo.
Like,
150 for the
what
gazebo?
about 200, just to
Yeah.
make sure he has wiggle room?
Okay,
Amend the motion not to exceed $200 for the gazebo.
I second the motion. No.
Wait, who made the
Any
motion?
further discussion?
Brian,
Brian
All
made
in
the motion
favor?
and who
Aye.
seconded? You did?
Any opposed? Motion carries, and Don, you have up to $200 to go crazy in the gazebo.
Ooh, big spender.
Don't spend it all at one
Thank you
time.
for working on that, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you get
Thank you
my
very much.
sock?
Pardon?
Did you get the sock?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
And we've had some setbacks because we have an electrical problem out there. So I've started and restarted a couple of times until we get that solved. But
That was going to be in my report too, I forgot. Graham Hilton's working on the electrical issue down by the gazebo, and he found the source. of
he
the-
found a source.
A source.
I
I didn't know if you were still here.
Yeah, oh yes, we went back and looked at the box and
Yeah.
checked the whole thing out, so.
Well, you and I did that box
Yeah.
down there, but he
Well,
found another
I
one.
took him back down there too.
Oh,
And then, yes, I know what he's talking about back at the gazebo, so.
okay.
And just to be clear, we're just troubleshooting electrical. We're not undertaking any initiatives or major
Not right
changes.
now.
This
No,
is just basic
I
troubleshooting.
don't see any big problem, although,
Great.
I'm not sure that we have found the real problem at this point, but we have something that we can attack.
Wonderful.
Okay.
Go ahead. No, I was just asking if anyone else had anything.
I guess coming kind of back, circling back, I probably should have mentioned it here. So we're probably gonna get some non-members, probably. Should we go ahead and charge for non-members?
Sign 'em up.
Or sign them up? I know, make them members.
I think it's $100 to eat, and it's applicable to your membership.
That just happens to be what your pro rata membership fee for June is. I think it's a member appreciation, at least as I understood the spirit of it.
Members only. So
Yeah.
maybe we just add that members only,
Yeah.
not add a fee for non-members, it's just member only. Maybe revise the
Yeah.
annual meeting and.
And you don't have to put,
Well, be careful. You got kids that come out here, the kids of members. Are you gonna charge anything extra for the kids? Or
Well,
you've
the
got
kids that have come,
these
they'll probably
family
get
memberships,
family
you know, they only get one vote. Do they only get one?
but they're members. But the family is a member.
Oh, yeah.
So the kids would still be
Yeah,
here.
I think there's only maybe 5 junior memberships, something like that.
Now, I would have a date for the RSVP for
I agree.
buy,
So I wanted
because you're gonna need to know.
know for food wise, so.
Yeah. Did you talk to Barbara?
I left her a message, I haven't had a chance to connect with her, so hopefully we'll.
So we don't know what the budget is yet?
No, I know that we were doing hot dogs and hamburgers and, soft drinks, so, but I know that we discussed that last time, so that would be the budget for those type of items. And I guess that would depend on how many we do have of course, for RSVP, so how much to purchase on those items, unless we did catering, which I know we chatted against doing
Yeah.
last time.
So
I
when do you
stopped
wanna
getting
have
catering quotes.
the RSVP date by?
I can chat with Barbara about that, so we can have an ample time to, shop for the items. I would say a few days. I mean, without discussing it with her, I would say probably a few days beforehand, so we
First
have a
of June?
chance to have it.
Yeah.
Can I
June
suggest, when you try the Beatles, you might want to talk to Bob right now
Okay.
instead of Barbara.
Okay.
Okay, Bob can handle it just as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think for the RSVP, we just need to make sure we're clear that the annual meeting does not require an RSVP, but the food and the tennis does.
The tennis
So
does
you
not.
can
The
put that
tennis
in-
is open to anybody. No, it doesn't matter what the numbers are in the
Dan's
tennis.
got all the
Who's a okay? So it's
Okay,
really
yeah, the tennis
RSVP.
is, it doesn't matter what the number is,
If you
what
want
we're
to
doing will
RSVP,
be fine.
okay.
Yeah.
And
you wanna
maybe for
meet-
that number of that quorum of how many people we're kind of looking for.
I think we're good on the
maybe.
quorum because we're going to have it covered in the agenda, which will go out with the official.
You know, it doesn't sound to me like you're gonna spend an awful lot of money on food anyway. My feeling would be if you've got non-members that show up, they're welcome.
Yeah, we don't have to
Let's sell them a
advertise it, but we don't-
membership
yeah,
instead of
like, we're not
worrying
gonna-
about feeding.
Who are we gonna turn away?
You're not gonna turn.
No.
We want people turning
Unless we
people
get,
on to the club,
if
not
the
taking away
Greyhound
from the
pulls up,
club.
then
Right. Somebody,
we'll address it.
you know, the entire baseball team comes over from the field. That's
Right.
a different thing.
Exactly.
Now, it does say prizes here. I mean,
I think that some of the pros mentioned that they had like little keychains or maybe
Oh,
prizes
okay,
they
so
could
the pros are
get
doing
or
that.
something.
Okay.
We could definitely, and I did want to address that too. Did we want to do a raffle? Did we want to do any type of, any prizes at this event?
I think we decided not to.
As far as the tennis end, there won't be any prizes on the tennis end. It's just a social. They're just playing tennis. They're not playing for any
Yeah,
prizes or
there's
anything.
not.
Not
Well,
this
I
time.
Yeah.
We'll do another one where it's with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so I take off the prizes on that. And then, okay, so then.
You get a barbecue. That's it. You get no prize.
Hey,
They're getting tennis friends. That's a prize.
Okay.
Anything else?
One more
Top
thing.
right?
Well, wait, okay.
Jesus
I was
Christ,
just
you
wondering,
organized, will you?
what's going on the USTA grant?
Nothing. Okay, good now?
I guess so.
So are we just gonna let it go?
No. It's an open-ended deal as well.
Yeah.
There was no time limit on it.
And I listened to I watched the video from the last meeting, and I agreed with Frank, and then I just wanted to make sure we agreed on what our plan was before I filled out a bunch of stuff stating what our plan was.
Well, I mean, the thing is I'd like to get it going because if we're, to see whether we could get that money because for our resurfacing. So it may take a while.
It will take a while.
Huh?
Grants usually do take quite some time.
So
And the
the
review process, there usually is a submission deadline for grants, and then a review
This one
process.
is just
This
until
one
the
is
money runs
like
out.
really.
Yeah, so how do we know the money's not running out?
Because it's still on the website that it's active.
It's if you look at the website, it's leading from like
2005 or something.
It's like way back.
Yeah, just text
No,
me.
I think it'd be great. I don't think
Yeah,
tackling
there's
it
no
right
number
now
there.
is
And
high on the list.
also
It's
Jake's
great that the new
number,
board is getting on it.
Karen's.
They can set
Sarah,
their
you
priorities.
need else?
They want to build 2 new courts, paint the lines, resurface.
Online reservation systems, there's a lot of different things that
Honestly,
are.
that's not a bad option to do. If we need to do an online reservation, it's gonna cost something.
It's gonna be
Free.
kind of difficult because it's supposed to.
Part of the member survey was, I believe 70% of the members wanted an online reservation system. So I know there was a lot of
Yeah, so
results
you're
from the
gonna
survey
have
that
to
kind of
talk
came out, and it just depends on a money allocation of where to
Yeah.
to put those.
Did it include?
Online. I do too. I
don't think
It
so.
doesn't have a lot. This
Doesn't have a lot,
is,
Pretty open.
yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's like,
I thought
that's
this
one
has
of
to
the
be
reasons why
matching.
when you
When?
kept asking
Yeah.
questions, they said, hey, this is a bigger project than, you're like, it isn't like you send in a deal and say, send me 10 grand.
And that's why I didn't fill it out.
Hey, that's what I would do.
I know Greg said that he was going to look at, he said that he could
Continue grading.
potentially his company
And then it
himself,
stops
because he's
for the afternoon.
not quite sure what his professional background
Yeah,
is.
drive it
but Sounds like
like
something that
is
could help
what
assist in
I've
that
found
arena, that he
working
said that he could
with,
come up with a
the
proposal for an
longest
online
time
reservation
because
system.
I work here.
One last real quick
It
thing.
usually always
Sorry,
stops.
Frank.
I know, Frank wants to get out of
Ready to
here.
go half an hour
We
ago.
had to post
We covered all the really important stuff.
Well, this is important to the members. They've been asking more lately is when is the resurfacing. We've had to postpone it a little more into August now. So
That's
was
good.
thinking June or July, but now it's August.
I don't, I'm glad.
Okay.
3 services in June with the weather we've been having.
Yeah.
That's not a good idea. We're still gonna have pumping on this clay for another month.
Yeah.
Any objection to me sending out an update on what that timeline is and just to,
That'd be great.
Yes.
oh,
That's
We need till this
might save you
clay
my
gets
questions.
dried out.
Let's do
It
comments.
ain't gonna be pretty around here for a while.
No, it is. And if we don't
thought you were
dry
asking
that
next
clay out some.
Right, if it doesn't get dried out, then it's a waste of money to resurface
Destroyed
it.
way too quick.
Yes, it is.
All right, anything else?
Yeah, just like a P
Yeah,
for Frank's, W for Wilson,
Oh,
Y
thank
for
you.
Young's.
I make a motion we adjourn.
All right, we're gonna adjourn at 7:30. Thank you everyone very much.
I think an hour.